The podcast was kind of a stringent environment. I although no, not totally stringent. Like, although I wasn't on video, I still did this kind of stuff. But I wasn't on video. So you didn't get to see it. But I was trying to be more stringent about it in a more general sense because, like, it was audio only. So um, if I was sitting there, like, smoking for a minute or two, that would create a lot of awkward, boring silence. So I tried not to smoke too much, but with this, you have a secondary stimuli. So you can watch me smoke and then emulate my behavior. don't emulate my behavior. I'm here for the people that already like me. I'm not here for the people that want to be like me. I'm here for the ones that are already here, okay? The ones that are already well into the world. Actually, I have a quick tip for your grinder. If you want to know how to grind up your weed more finely, you tip it upside down. So that's the bottom, and that's the top. That's where I put it all. You tip it upside down and you keep grinding it like that. But if you want it more chunky, then you do it like that. But if you want it super chunky, you don't even let it all fall the way down through. See, that's even that, because I had it upside down, is pretty fine. But yeah, if you want to get it finer and finer, you right side up, flip it over. That's how you grind it. And then you want to do that like as soon as you put the bud in there, so it stays in the teeth longer. And that's what will give you a finer grind. And then you flip it over, and then that's when it all will go through the holes and start falling down. But if you want a chunkier grind, I recommend you put your nugs in there. Just give it one crack, and then get a tray and then empty it out. Don't even let it fall through the holes. If you have a 2-layer, here's your little tip. Stoner tips with Adam. But I like to have a fine grind. I'm going to smoke out of the bong. I also like it to be a little bit dusty. I feel like it smokes a little bit better out of the bong when it's like a little bit too dry. That's my own personal preference. It's my own personal taste. A lot of people don't like that. Also, if you're trying to roll up in a tobacco leaf or in a paper, then you want a chunkier kind of grind. But also it depends. Like in a tobacco leaf, you'd want a chunkier grind, but in a paper, sometimes you don't always want a chunky grind. You want like a medium kind of grind because you want nice airflow through the joint. Like airflow matters a lot with papers, but it doesn't really matter so much with woods for some reason, or like tobacco leaf. It still matters with tobacco leaf, but like the chunkier it is, the better it is with tobacco leaf, and the I don't know, more medium it is, the better it is, because you want like pieces that will like stick together in a blunt. But in a joint, you don't want pieces that stick together. You want it all to be kind of uniformly packed. And I think it's because paper burns like different than tobacco leaf. It's like thinner, so it burns quicker. Maybe tobacco leaf burns a little bit slower. I've noticed whenever I get like a blunt wrap that like isn't tobacco, it kind of burns a little bit quick. Like those mate blunt wraps, those burn kind of quick. I didn't know this was going to become a smoking show. But when you do something for long enough, you kind of just acquiesce these skills. And it's, good for everybody to share the skills you've acquiesced over time. Save others some time. Maybe with stuff they didn't know. Yeah. Ooh. I'm trying not to cough. That's pretty good, bud. It was pretty good, bud, when, like, you get some resin. Like, even through a bong. It's crazy. Getting some resin on your lips. How often do you change your bong water? That's number one fucking question anybody should be asked who's a smoker. Or if you're thinking about it, dude, how often do you change your fucking bong water, bro? Like, you shouldn't even, like, until you know the answer to that question, I'm not even gonna talk about it now. That's a discussion we have to have later as, like, a group, as, like, a family. That'll be the discussion that we have later. I guess it's, like, kind of fitting that I'm getting high, talking about weed for the topic that I want to talk about today. I want to talk about flying. Thank you. It took me a long time to pick up this topic, but here we are. I'm going to talk about it. I have flown before in this lifetime, in this body, okay? That doesn't sound like crazy. You get planes, okay, planes exist. That's fine. People fly all the time. Thousands of planes every day. Thousands of people, over 1 million people have flown at this point. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in this body. I have done it twice. Granted, here's the thing, not totally of my own volition. That sounds fucked up. Not totally of my own volition. I got 2 stories of 2 times that I have flown, and I actually forgot all about them, because time and stuff like that, they were, like, really transformative experiences, but something happened. And I forgot all about them. And I didn't remember until the other night. My cat was sleeping on my lap, and she slept on my lap for, like, a really long time. It's the first time she ever did that, like, almost all night. Well, not the first time. She used to sleep on me, like, all night when she was a kitten, but it's the first time she's done it in a really long time. And it gave me a sensation in my body. It made me feel like I was flying. And I mean that, like, literally, like, it gave the same exact sensations within my body that I felt during these 2 times that I have flown. And I went, whoa, it feels like I'm flying right now. And I went, whoa, shit, how do I know what flying feels like? And then I went, whoa, fuck, I forgot I've flown before. And I remembered the moments that I have flown. And I wouldn't have remembered that unless I had the same exact sensation playing in my body again, of, like, the just gratitude and elation and joy and happiness that I had flown through my body when I had flown. I had the same exact emotions that my cat had given me this time, which is funny. And I'll get into some other sensations that I had in a moment, but I guess I should probably get into it now, because you're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about, flying and shit? Is this some kind of, like, Buddhist monk technique he's about to teach us right now? No. It's all about aerodynamics, okay, pal? I used to go to UMass Boston, and if you dorm at UMass Boston, there are 2 towers, and these 2 towers are connected by a long straight pathway to the campus. So the campus is, like, over here, and it's, like, kind of like a horseshoe shape, and then there's a long street, I don't know what you call it, it's just a path for students to walk along, so path, street thing. And then there's the 2 buildings, like, one here and then, like, one there. And the placement of the 2 buildings, along with the long corridor, and then the shape of the building, somehow created an air tunnel uh, between the two buildings and along that path. So as you're walking to school or as you're walking home, the wind would just be beating the shit out of you down that path. And it would get really windy because UMass Boston's along the coast. So you're like right along the beach and you're just fucking right there in the middle of the wind, dude. Just fucking coastal winds battling in, and then they're getting funneled through this kind of like air system. So they go like around the horseshoe, in, around the two buildings, and then through, and then it goes like around and around like that. And I'm walking to fucking school one day. Normally I skateboard. But one day I'm just like walking because it's too fucking windy. Like you go outside and like you can't open the door because the door will slam back shut on you. That happens so many times. Dude, it was like crazy weather fucking going to school there. It was insane. Why would they build a school there? It had like, dude, it had like the worst weather, and then it had like the worst architecture for the weather. Like it was designed to like make the weather more extreme. And that it did. Like one day I was like walking to class, and the wind was at my back and at my front and at my sides. And I'm walking, and suddenly I fucking like, I'm getting lifted up, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, and the wind is so strong that it's like pushing me up, and I'm almost getting like fucking brisked away. And I got both feet up off the ground at one point, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I kind of like stopped because I was like, yo, I could figure this out right now. And I kind of stopped, and I got both feet up just for like just a second, and then it just fell back down. But that's what I mean when I say not of my own volition. It's just like I'm in these moments of crazy strong wind. And actually, I know a friend too. He used to work at Logan Airport in Boston, and he had the same exact kind of situation because he was working on the tarmac, and there are these just like long straights that they direct wind down, and he had so many stories of like how he would be like walking against the wind, and like he nearly like fucking loses his footing, but then he's like, wait a minute, I could just put my feet up, like put my arms and my feet up and fly. It was like he said there was a couple of times that he was like standing there and like suddenly like there was like so much wind that he was like actually like kind of like floating. And that was the similar kind of thing that happened to me, except I wasn't near planes. It was just the way that the buildings were shaped. It was also like the way that the coastline was. And it really did feel like that. Like it really felt like if I just transitioned in the right way, that I could definitely like fucking do it. That's how strong the wind was. Or if I just like kind of like went, yeah, like I could do it. That makes me wonder too, like, yo, is Superman just using like super strength when he flies? Because that shit could definitely be possible. And this is what started my mind on this cascade of like, oh, flying is definitely like a thing that we humans could do. Like I had to figure out how to manipulate the wind and like see the air currents so I could ride them. So this started my mind on this like journey of trying to figure out how to be able to fly. And I was like, I can figure this one out. I got this. Like I'm gonna be the first man to be able to fly. So then for a while there, I finished up school at UMass Boston, lived in South Boston for a while, and then I moved to Dorchester, pretty close by to the school, like to the point where I was like 1 or 2 or 3 train stops away, to the point where I could skateboard. And I would go and I would skateboard usually from my house. I would try to skateboard all the way down to like, what was it called? There's like this beach in Dorchester that I forget what it's called, but I would always try to skate down to like that one beach. It was a long ass skate. I didn't realize how much I had skated until like I had stopped skating and then like got a car and like started driving. And then I was like, yo, I was skating that distance every day. Like it was nothing. Like it was just cool. Like I was skating to and from work sometimes. Sometimes I would like get off of the train earlier because it would be easier to skate to work. than it would be to keep riding the train. It'd be a lot faster to just get on my skateboard and go, because the train has to stop, and I don't have to stop. But yeah, that's story number one. I think we're gonna take a little respite here, because I'm lost. Oh, that cough kind of scared me. I'm all like, wait a minute. So this is the point where, like, if I had advertisers here. Easily distracted. I think we need one more bong rip. Because I could have been more or less distracted. I feel like it hones me in, but I don't know. Maybe the process of like packing the bowl will hone me in. But give me something to focus on. Yeah, it was an illusion of flight created by the fucking wind. The wind was so strong that I would float on it. It would create air pressure that you could actually float upon. And I was noticing all of these patterns of air pressure and stuff like that. And I was trying to figure out if there was a way that you could consciously ride the wind. Um, and so I would go skateboarding from my apartment down to the beach all the time, just miles on end, 4 or 5 miles a day. Fucking, I was like, even when I first got here, I was driving to the beach and I was skating like 6 miles. I say got here because I moved a while ago now. I moved like 2.5 years ago now. But when I first got here, I would go to the beach every day and skate like 6 miles just to fucking get the energy out. Because I have built myself up to like being so consistently used to skating that much that if I didn't skate that much, I'd feel real tense and weird. Now I'm like on the lower end of the spectrum, where I've completely depleted my body of all energy. I've been trying to like acquiesce it back, but it's just like I spend it faster than I get it. That's everything. Money, weed, spending it all faster than I get it. Energy. Um, yeah, I was skateboarding down to the beach, so I should maybe like put up a map. Hold on. There's gonna be so much editing I have to do. Fucking shit. Okay. Put up a map. Just hit that fucking button. There's gonna be mad shit that's gonna piss me off. Just fucking what happens when you live in a city. Shit would happen with Dorchester too. It just wouldn't be so fucking blatantly obnoxious. I guess I had better insulation in Massachusetts because you kind of have to, because it gets so fucking cold over there. And like the windows are just thin over here, so you fucking hear it. It's like I'm outside basically. Sometimes like I'll be like fucking sleeping, not even near a window. You hear people like through this wall, dude. It's like they're like right next to me. And I'm like, I hate this. I have really sensitive senses, so I thought I could sensitively. Fuck. I thought I could leverage my senses into being able to sense and control air currents to the point that I can fly on them and change air pressure. Technically, like, no. You there's lots of stuff that I try to do that you technically can't do. Like, currently, I'm trying to up the amperage. That's what I'm saying about the energy thing. I'm trying to up the amperage of my neurons or whatever, my nerves, the ones in your body, the nerves, the tendrils. I'm trying to up their capacity to produce and um, move electricity so I can shock people. It sounds so fucking dumb now that I say it out loud. Um, but that would be pretty cool if you could sparkly fingers. I've actually gotten it to the point where I can create a controlled neuropathy. If there's any medical students that ever end up watching this, yeah, I can focus and create a very specific neuropathy in my fingertips, specifically right at the ends of each of my fingertips, and I can point and direct them. Um, and I can become very aware of my uh, nerves to the point where I can kind of use them as like, I don't know what the fuck to say. I can feel this from a distance, if that makes sense. I can feel that from a distance. They get so sensitive that I can feel everything from a distance, especially in the hands, and in the back. Things like the sides of the arms, not really too much, and in the feet too. Yeah, that's another really sensitive place. So I try to like do weird things with the mechanics of my body. So I don't know why. Just to kind of like push the extent of the human condition. I want to see how far it can go. And one of those things I was trying to do for a while was fly. Um, so once again, I think I put up that map of my route that I skateboarded. For some reason, that was real. I needed to do that. And one day I was skating. At some point, I'm just trying to see how many times I can start this story and stop it. And I was right along this straight and it curved so that there was wind coming in. And I noticed that the fucking wind was hitting me hard, dude. As soon as I crossed the street and got like towards the bay area, kind of like there was like water, and then it was kind of like a bay the way that it curved in. Um, and as soon as I got towards the water, I noticed the wind was a lot more intense than it was across the street, and I was skating uh, with it at my back, and it was like pushing me along, and there was one point where I fucking skated as fast as I could go, and I was like, this is it. This is right now. I'm gonna fly right now. And I had like a windbreaker jacket on. And I skated and I skated and I was skating and I was going so fucking fast that even like the jacket was like I was starting to get lift and I was starting to like be hard to be on the board. And I was like, this is it. And I launched off of the board and I got like pretty high up and the wind kind of like carried me and it got to the point where I actually was going up, but then I got scared and I kind of like grounded myself. And I shifted my aerodynamics that I immediately went down to the ground and I like fell. And I got like a good distance off of the fucking ground to the point where like it created a sense memory. And the way that I had felt in that moment, I had felt again the other night laying on my bed. And the craziest thing about it, I said all that other crazy stuff because the craziest thing about it was I was sitting there and I was focusing on that feeling. And I was like, it feels like I'm flying right now. And then like I took like a big deep breath and I like focused on like the air currents through the room. And it felt like I could feel like ever so slightly just that my body was just like pushing air. As I was like holding my breath, I was like pushing the air kind of around. And in that moment, I was like, yo, dude. I was fucking on to something, man. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of electrical current type deal. And maybe even like my hairs were moving themselves. Like, you know how like you get goosebumps? Maybe that's kind of like what it was. but it was like a selective goosebump. So maybe my brain was replaying the memory to such detail that it was raising the exact hairs that were raised when I had felt the wind. Or um, you have like a charge difference between the outer air and the air that is close to my body, and my body is ionizing the air closest to my body, creating ever so slightly such a different charge that it's creating thrust, and it's beginning to push air molecules around. And we normally don't feel this or take advantage of this because it's such a minute kind of thing that as like your body ionizes air, it thinks it's randomized. But maybe it's not randomized. Maybe you can move the ionization in a kind of like, I don't even know if ionization is the right word. It's just you're creating a charge close to your body that is different than the charge in the air. And that charge difference moves the air that's out here as it moves closer to your body, and it's kind of like moving around. And if you could focus your awareness on what is creating that charge, then you could then manipulate that charge. And for me, I feel like it's emotions. Emotions definitely have a key. Like they're like not a key, but maybe a puzzle piece. It would only be a key in one of those electrical systems where you need like multiple keys all turned together at the same time to make sure something's fucking on or off properly. Puzzle piece is a more intuitive kind of way to think about it. It's like a puzzle piece into all of this because emotions can create charges a lot faster, like electrical signals and like physiological changes way faster. So like if you're angry, not only do you have an emotional electrical change of the emotion of anger causing some kind of charge in your brain, but also maybe your brow is furrowed, maybe your shoulders are tense, maybe you're just like real mad, maybe you're just a mad guy, you know. You have those physiological changes, but when you're like happy, you're like shoulders back, fucking cool, man. I don't know what. I know what chillin' is because I'm chilling right now. There we go. There's happy. I'm making myself happy. I just had to look at the absurdity of myself. When you're happy, like your cheeks are bulges and shit. You got fucking. Maybe your shoulders are up. Maybe you're kind of like full of yourself a little bit. Your brows up. You're fucking. These physiological changes come along with the motion, and the motion is like a current. So, because I have flown before, I know the current of what my body will feel like if I'm flying, which is fucking ecstatic. I feel statically ecstatic. You do kind of feel ecstatic because your body's like, whoa, okay, because you're looking for ground, it's looking for the stimuli, and like you have to keep telling yourself like, nah, man, you're not gonna get that. And it's weird. But then I'm also thinking about it too. It takes like a lot of wind to make a person fly. Like these were environments that were easily upwards of like maybe 20-mile-an-hour gusts, not consistent wind speed, probably like 10, maybe somewhere around there. But yeah, hurricane environments, if you're like, that's like hurricane speed, yeah, dude. Massachusetts, we go to school during hurricanes. Fucking There's one time I used to live in a dorm and it was facing the other dorm building and I had a megaphone and I just like to yell at people. Now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should have been recording it, but stupid me. And I yelled at this one guy and it was like icy and like snowy and stuff out and he got distracted and he was doing something goofy, but then he he was sliding on the ice and somebody opened the door at the same time, so he went right into the fucking door. And then I was like, I think I'm gonna put the megaphone away for the night. I pushed it away. I have fun in my time at the dormitorium. Not as much fun though as I would have liked to have. But I think like the movie Project X probably fucked up the fun barrier because like if you're having parties like that in high school, the fuck are your college parties going to be like? They didn't even come out with like the Project X goes to college because they knew that they're like, nah, man, these guys have legal access to alcohol. Okay, these fucking, we're not going to inspire these 21-year-olds any more than we did with that fucking Project X movie. We got fucking college seniors talking about they want a Project X. Okay, man, we don't need to make a college Project X. They already are making it themselves. Yeah, holy shit. Do you think that movie was so, like, badly influential that they actually put the kibosh on making, like a sequel? Because I know, like, a bunch of kids, they were like, that's what I want to do with my life now. And, like, that was their entire high school, was that thing. Yeah, I've been smoking weed for a while now. Yeah. That subtle influence of air currents is what made me want to make this kind of thing. I was trying to do it as a podcast at first, but then I was like, not going. Why am I, why am I not doing it as a vlog? Why can't I, getting high while talking about how I fly? But yeah, if I ever want to fly again, I know what I need to do. I need to hold my body in a certain way. I need to feel my emotions and let them carry me into the sky. I need to let the air ionize against my skin and become an electrical being of all loving and light and stuff. And then also I need to go to a geographical area that has approximately the correct features to create a wind tunnel with about 10, 20, 30 mile per hour winds. Then I could probably fly. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking about it like, 20-mile-an-hour wind is fucking a hard thing to do to create out of the subtle ionization of fucking like 1 or 2 air particles as they hit your skin. Maybe that's me holding me back though. Man. Maybe I just gotta focus on this. Maybe I'm on the right path with this, like upping the amperage or whatever, the total electrical potential value of my electrical system. Maybe that's the exact path I need to be going down in order to fulfill all of these things. And it was so weird too that I had like totally forgotten about these experiences. That's another thing. Like these were like, I'm gonna fucking figure out some kind of metaphysical fucking magical way to fly. And then I got so far along the journey of trying to figure it out that I forgot that I had already figured it out once before. And then I just needed certain perfect storms to come along to make it happen. Yeah, and the sense memory thing is another crazy thing. Like, if that exact moment of my cat sitting on my lap and like sleeping with me after she hadn't slept with me for like months on end hadn't happened in that specific scenario that it happened, I wouldn't have felt the way that I have felt to have remembered that I have felt that way before. I think that speaks a lot to like letting yourself feel good. Because if you're like constantly not letting yourself feel good, and you're constantly kind of like maybe like dogging yourself, belittling yourself, and stuff like that, then you're not allowing yourself to remember the times that you had felt good in the past, and the other times that maybe like others had made you feel good as well. If you're constantly focusing on the negative, all you're going to see is negative. I said that before to somebody. I was like, yo, if you're always looking for $1, bro, you're going to fucking eventually find $1, okay? And then later in the day, I went outside of my house. There's a fucking dollar, like, in the gutter, covered in dirt and shit. And I was like, who put this $1 here? You guys hanging out outside of my house? Like, this shit was so perfect, bro. I took a picture. I was like, look what I just fucking found. See what I'm saying? Point proven. If you're always looking for $1, you're going to find $1. But I think some of my problem too is like I hold value in negativity. So I think that there may be something in there that I need to learn, because I've learned things from like negative experiences before, like, oh yeah, don't do that, or like, oh okay, if that happens then do this. Like some things are unavoidable, some things aren't. So I've like learned out of spite to value negativity. But I think that has created a value around negativity, so I feel scared discarding it as something valueless. But at the end of the day, kinda. I mean, unless it's part of your goal, then to be negative is only a distraction from your goal. Unless your goal is to be the most negative fucking douchebag on the planet Earth, then anything negative is contrary to your goal. Sometimes too, like you feel like that though. Like that's being human. Like we're not just one thing all the time. We're a continuum of things. And until we're observed and that wave function collapses, we get to experience being all of those things at once. Until something happens and then somebody like observes you taking a shit on the sidewalk, and then suddenly all of the potential things that you were now collapse down to, oh, that's the guy that likes to shit on the sidewalk. Wave function collapse. That's some. You're the Schrodinger's cat. Once you're observed, you're observed. There you go. You can't put the cat back in the box, and you can't make him undrink the poison. Because that's how the Schrodinger's cat. Everybody's heard about that. But that's the thing. You don't know what you don't know. And you don't know what. If you don't know what you don't know, then how would you know that you don't know that that's all the same thing? And that's an analogy. No idea where I'm going with this. But what I hear right now is somebody else learning how to fly right up there. I live in the path of the flight school, so it makes fucking trying to do this shit so obnoxious. But this is actually one of those moments where it's kind of not obnoxious. I don't even know. You can't really hear it. Not only do I live near the flight school, I live near an airport as well. 2 airports. 3 airports. I mean, technically, how far out do you want to go? Because there could be a lot of airports. Yeah, that's you know, if you don't want to do all this metaphysical junk, another way that you can learn how to fly is get your pilot's license. But if you have your pilot's license, you're not allowed to smoke weed. Can't. Doesn't work like that. So I only have one option. If I want to learn how to fly and smoke weed, I have to do it the crazy Superman way. I gotta learn the Force. I gotta learn how to use and manipulate the Force in order to make me fly. I gotta learn how to airbend. But even amongst the airbenders, flying is one of the rarest techniques known. So I can't take myself seriously dropping serious Avatar lore. Not the fucking blue people. Last Airbender lore. Yes. Flying is one of... It's why you think, like, why do they have to use gliders and stuff like that if they're airbenders? It's just... Flying is a really difficult technique for them to learn because you have to be detached from everything. Oh, shit. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why when I, like, started looking for the ground, I have formed an attachment, and that's why I have fallen down to the ground, going all the way back to the story, if you remember that at this point. Yeah, holy crap, maybe they were like dropping some knowledge and I didn't know. Maybe it is the true feeling of like detachment in a content form. Because you can be detached with like, it's how you put the spin on it, your initial spin, going into your detachment, which will be the lesson of that said detachment until you find something to attach to again. We're a continuum. That's all it is like, we're just going from attachment to attachment to attachment, like me right now. I'm flipping from weed to nicotine to talking to listening. Not really doing a lot of listening, but I'm like listening and talking at the same time because there's a lot of outer world right now. That just means like honking and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe that is how you fly. It's a detachment with a initial spin towards lightness, maybe gratitude, maybe happiness, joy, all that good stuff. General positivity. Yeah, spin it that way, and that'll be you end up flying. But yeah, sleeping with a cat on your lap will make you feel like you're flying any night of the week. No weed needed. Especially a soft kitty. Ooh, girl. I love my cat. She is like if you're a really like observational person, cats can teach you a lot about yourself and your environment and just like the world at large. Just the way that they understand things and just like are instinctively driven. Like cats know what litter boxes are. Like just they know. Crazy work. You don't have to like litter train most cats. Most cats will just get it like that. They're like, yeah, that's where I piss. And then they have like this instinctual drive to like bury their excrement. So then when they find somewhere in the house, like a litter box where they can bury it, they automatically want to go there. Isn't that just like a weird, so weird. But also you can't have carpets of certain textures because they let shit on them. Learned that the hard way. I think I'm gonna fly on out of here. I think I've become Icarus, and I have flown too close to the sun, and now I'm plummeting down to Earth. I think I've released enough of my crazy theories and crackpot stuff for you to observe, and now my wave function is gonna collapse, just like Schrodinger's cat. If this is observed, your observations will come back onto me. And I don't know if that's just because it's a system of belief. Maybe that's why it affects me more. Or if that's just like the way it is. And then other people don't showcase the challenge of their identities or their wave function collapsing the same way. I call it like a wave function collapse, but like that's a very scientific way to put it, and it might not translate almost perfectly. The man shitting on the sidewalk thing is like the best analogy because it's so visceral, you know? You see a guy shitting on the sidewalk, he's always going to be the guy. Next time you see him, you're going to have that. It's just a visceral fucking moment for you to remember. So strange as well that it is now his identity. Everybody who saw him do that thing, that's his identity. Everybody who sees me do this thing, this is now my identity. Until I do the next thing, and the next thing, and that's this thing. And all the other things. I grew like a lot of facial hair too there for a point. I'm challenging the idea of identity because I had, like I had said, totally forgotten why I had started on certain paths. And I needed certain experiences to remind me why I had started certain journeys. But now I believe that I'm experiencing hunger, which is my cue to get the fuck out of here. So thank you for listening. This has been Adam Has been talking about flying. I hope you can fly high and touch the sky. Fly like a bird, I wanna fly away.